Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Committee of Adjustment meeting. We have 3 meetings tonight. Committee of Adjustment is first, then the public meeting of planning, and then our regular meeting of council at 6 p.m. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
We've got some funny lights on this thing. Anyway, it's on, I take it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment hearing on Monday, February the 23rd, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. There are none opposed. Moving to the adoption of the previous minutes for Monday, November 24th. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the Committee of Adjustment hearing minutes of Monday, November 24th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Motion is carried. None opposed. Okay. Sorry. Okay, moving on to minor variances, MV01 2026. Councillor Cadell, if you'll put it on the table.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Manley. It is the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV01 2026 as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the application for this file, Mr. Justin Unruh, the address known as 14 Robert Street in Maxville. So that's the village of Maxville. The purple box that you see just in the northeast corner. A little zoom in right there. So that's the property. So most of the properties between Marlborough and Robert Street at that location go from street to street. In this case, the lot is split in half. So there's 15 Marlborough on the west side. And we're discussing here the lot, the purple block that you see there, 14 Robert Street. So the purpose for this application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw, secretly from the current zoning bylaw, I should say, for a reduction in the interior yard, so the north yard, setback from the minimum required 2.4 meters to the proposed 1.2 meter. It's for the construction of a new residential duplex one-story building. So the effect of this application is really to allow for the construction of this duplex on the property. So I'll just keep going here. So okay, I'll explain that too. So urban settlement area for this property. So the official plan is residential in this case. So it's right in the village of Maxville. So it permits residential development as such. Zoning, it's currently zoned R1. And why I mentioned earlier for our current zoning bylaw, because as you know, we're currently working on the updated new zoning bylaw to reflect the provincial changes. So if this bylaw would have passed by now, this development here would not need a minor variance. In this case, it does, because we have to consider it a duplex because there's 2 units. So because it's a duplex, I have to go in the R2 zoning. And when I go into the R2 zoning, the setbacks ask for 2.4 meters on either side. Now, our new zoning bylaw, when it's passed, as you know, all the R1 properties will now be allowed to have 3 residential units on it without doing a zoning amendment or minor variance. And the setbacks, so this development would fit into the setback. So we're still doing the minor variance because the current zoning bylaw applies right now. So that's why I just wanted to mention it, because it's kind of important in this case. So the image that you have there, the lot is flipped. So the red arrow that you see is actually along the north yard setback. So that's what we're discussing right now. So it's a It's a duplex. They're not one over the other. They're side by side like that, but the front is actually at the bottom of the screen there, so along Robert Street. So it's made not to look, I guess, like a semi-detached. So there's one door right at the street, and then there's one door further back on the dwelling. So it's not like a split, I guess. So this property will not be able to split like a typical R2 building. It's an actual duplex that will stay on the same property. So as you can see there as well, there's 2 parking lots that are one beside each other, in front of each other, and then there's 2 other parking spots. So in this case, there's 4 parkings for 2 units, so it's compliant with both our current and our future dwelling unit future zoning bylaw that will be passed this year. So that's the property. That's an image of the property. The phone pole that you have there, this is actually, the phone pole is pretty much where the property line is. So the setback is actually, the reduction for the setbacks is where that red arrow is again. There's currently no buildings on the north side, so it's, as I mentioned, the property goes from Marlborough to Robert. I did get a phone call from the owner of that property, and I did explain that even though we're asking for this reduction here to 1.2 meters, it would not affect her property either for planning or for building, in the sense that 1.2 meters is still not too close to the property line to affect another building on another property. So like for fireproofing, siding, etc. So it would not affect her in that sense. And it would also not affect her if she would also, so I'll just go back to that screen there. So 17 Marlborough, if she would decide to split the property in half to create a new lot on Robert Street, she could still do that even though this reduction exists here. So it doesn't affect her property as well. She was happy with the comments of the discussion. So that's, the picture of what it looks like now, currently vacant. So that's my little map for urban settlement area of Maxville. So as you can see, it's pretty much surrounded by residential properties. Same thing for our zoning. So north, west, and south, you have residential properties, mostly single-family dwellings. Just in front, it's still in green there, so it's currently, right now, it's zone R4. This is where you have the apartment complex, James Rowland, the old St. Bernard School, so it's pretty much right across from that. So the setbacks, as I mentioned, one side has the required 2.4, so the owner kind of maximized the width of the building, so he kept 8 feet on one side to be able to access the backyard, and on the north side there's that 1.2 meter instead of 2.4 that's required. So parking is compliant in this case. If I keep going, so water and sewer, so there is access to water and sewer on Robert Street, so this new building will be connected to municipal services. That's not a problem. Stormwater, grading, green space, in this case, not the problem at all. There's enough space at the back for green space to divert the water, so that's not an issue. There's one proposed driveway that will be wider than usual for the 3 parkings, to accommodate for the 3 wide parking. And in this case, I explain why the 2 units are permitted. So we do not have to do, even though it's R1, we do not have to do an actual zoning bylaw amendment to R2. We just have, they're permitted to do the 3 unit even though it's R1, but because the way our zoning bylaw is written, we apply the R2 setbacks. So a few more pictures of the property. So as you can see, on the bottom picture, I'm looking north. So this is along Robert Street, so mostly single-family dwellings, 2-story homes, 1-story homes. Same thing, I think I had a picture. Yeah, that's the looking south on that one. So same thing, and right across the street you have the James Rowland apartment complex. So the 4 tests we have to apply for minor variance. So does it conform with the intent of the official plan? In this case, the lands are designated as urban settlement area of Maxville. So as you know, it's the space made especially for residential development, regardless of its intensification. So in this case, it does conform. Maintain the general purpose of our zoning bylaw. We're not changing the zoning, we're just asking for that reduction. So it does comply, even though we're 2 units in an R1. Because of the new changes at the provincial level, this conforms and it's compliant with the intent. Desirable for the appropriate development on the use or structure. In this case, because all the neighboring properties are R1, all of these properties that are existing right now that have 1 dwelling are allowed to upgrade to potentially 3. So it is desirable, I guess, for the surrounding intensification. That's exactly what the official plan and our zoning are aimed at. So it is deemed suitable. And as I mentioned, I guess 3 and 4, so is it minor in nature? The property that's being affected the most by this change is the one on the north. And as I explained, it's not affecting any of the development regarding if it's building or planning wise. So because of all this, it is the recommendation of the planning department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV01 2026 as submitted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Jacob. Do members of council have any questions prior to going to the public? Yep, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Were there any other comments from any of the neighbors?
Sorry, Mr. Peter. No, there was no other comments or concerns. I did get a few people coming here to ask questions, but just general questions about the property. One gentleman was also asking about like setbacks and why and where exactly, but no official complaints were submitted for this file.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jenna?
Does anyone wish to speak
Oh, you're
in,
going to-
sorry. Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? Any members of the public? Second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? Third and final time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to so minor variance application number MV02 2026. That's correct, yep. Councilor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that it's the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV02 2026 as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Jacob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the applicant for this file, Ontario Inc., so it's actually Minimax Express Warehouse. So the address should sound familiar, 95 Lock Hill Street. It's our old building, previously Alexandria Molding, so 95 Lock Hill East. So you all know where it is, on Lock Hill Street, heading towards Glen Robertson, a little close up right there. So that's I'll show some other images. So that's what it, I guess, currently looks like right now. So as you know, a lot of buildings were demolished for that property. So that's like a very recent picture, I guess I should say, from what it is now. So it's on the corner of Sandfield Avenue South and Lock Hill Street East in Alexandria. So the purpose for this application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw 39-2000 for a reduction in the exterior yard depth setback, so it's the east property line, from the minimum required 12 meters to the proposed 2 meters for a new 56 by 28 meter addition of an industrial warehouse building's foundation. So in this case, just to clarify, we call it an exterior yard setback because it's facing the road. So our zoning bylaw, the way it's written, regardless of if it would be the front or the exterior yard, it's the same setback. So we did not call this exterior because it was less. It's really like front or exterior, always the same. In this case, 12 meters. So whether you consider, like the address is on Lock Hill, so we consider the entrance on Lock Hill being the main entrance. One on Sandfield, setback is the same because it's facing a road or a street, so 12 meter is the same in this case. So we're asking for a reduction for the exterior yard only on the one on the east in this case. So it's to accommodate the proposed location of an addition, and the addition is the same use as what's there now. So that's a little sketch that the contractor did. So the red box that you see is the approximate location for the new addition on the building. So the setback from the south property line, so where you have those dwelling units, that's compliant with our zoning bylaw. The one on the the west, sorry, of course it is, because there's the existing building, and the one on the north is also compliant. So it's really just the one that's getting close to Sandfield Boulevard West, sorry, Sandfield Avenue. So most of you know that there used to be a building very, very similar at that exact location. So the proposed addition is very similar to where it was, a little bit shorter, but it's pretty much where it was before. So at that location, we're just doing a new addition for that, for the Minimax warehouse building. So I have a few more pictures. There you go. So that's an older picture. So as you can see, the lot was filled up with buildings. So the storage or the shelter for the trucks on the north side was all demolished, and everything right from where you saw before. So the big white box, I guess the white roof that you see, that's the previous building. So that's going to be very, very similar to what is proposed right now. So that is pictures that I took. So that's the setback that's being required. So based on previous pictures that I saw, that section of the fence there used to be attached to the building. So that's where the building went right up to that fence. What we're proposing here, the new building will be just a little bit shorter based on the dimensions that I had, but very similar to that. Not closer to that fence, but very close to that, to where that fence is. So the road that you see there is Sandfield Avenue. So official plan designation. So it's urban settlement area for Alexandria, employment district. So the proposed use or proposed addition does fit with the official plan designation. General zoning designation, general industrial, so also here compliant with the proposed use. So right now it's used as a warehouse shipping business, so it's Minimax. That's to remain, so it's really just an addition for that existing use, fully compliant with our zone. And also what I should mention is so on that picture that you see there, there was no variance requested back in the day, but the lot coverage in this case is a little bit too much because of that big shelter there. So what we're proposing now is within the lot coverage of the general industrial requirement. So it's actually compliant with everything else aside from that setback. So yeah, it's a new addition we're proposing, 56 meter by 28 meter. It's located on the east side of the existing. So I'll show some pictures. It will be easier to understand. Grading, I'll talk about. So that's the proposed, just quick sketch of what the building will look like. So it's basically just an open warehouse. That's the facade that you see up there would be the facade like looking west. So that's what the end of the building would look like. And it's all open just for storage purposes, warehouse. So those are the pictures. So the building that you see there, that's where the new addition would start, heading east. Grading, swales, stormwater, in this case, all existing. So we had that previous big, like you saw the building as it was. So all the water was collected on like a private storm that's running like pretty much across where those tractor trailers end. There's a few manhole there. So this is all existing. We're going to use the same stormwater and grading system. So we're still with our site plan control bylaw that we have. I'm still trying to see if we need one because it was existing. I'm discussing with Peter Young to see if we need a site plan in this case because everything was existing before. So we're really just reinstating what was there. Like most of the time, grading, stormwater are the biggest issues, and in this case, it's all existing. So anyway, we'll evaluate what's being done at planning stage, but that's what's proposed right now. So that where the trailers are is where we had that old shelter building. It's all demolished right now. So those are just pictures of the surroundings. So across Sandfield, you have Sanilit, I believe it's called, another industrial use. So it's compliant with that. The use has been in existence for many years. People around are aware of the industrial use. I have received a few phone calls for that property just to make sure of what was going on. No complaint, just questions about what exactly was proposed. When I mentioned that it was really just an addition of the existing use, no other questions. So we are not getting any complaints or nuisance, like nothing about this. Everything is good with that property, so I'm assuming that's why the neighborhood did not object to that development at all. So those are the pictures of the surroundings. Just go to my notes here to make sure I didn't forget anything. So there's the entranceway. As you know, there are like three, I guess, main entrances to that property. The one from Lockhill Street will be used mostly for like pickups or cars and people working in the offices. And the entrance from Sandfield will be the main one used by the trucks. So there will not be an increase in trucks for like that little alleyway behind the buildings. All the trucks are going to use the Sandfield entrance just like they are now, I believe. So that entrance from Lockhill is really for just people working in the office. Civic number will remain existing, sorry. Fire access route, so in this case, with the space that's all around the building, when we get the building permit stage, so there's enough access for fire access all around the building, so that's not an issue either. And yeah, next step will be building permit or site plan control. We'll discuss that. And then the four tests, so does it conform with the intent of the official plan? So the official plan designation, employment district, so yes, it conforms. Does it comply with the intent of the zoning bylaw? So in this case, we're not changing the use, we're keeping the same use. So again, it does comply. Deemed suitable and desirable for the surrounding areas, and is it minor in nature? It's a big reduction because of the fact that the previous building was there before. No issue, no traffic issues, site triangle, no issues whatsoever with the use either. It is considered minor in nature as they're just a setback that's required. Lot coverage is okay, everything else. Building height is fine as well. And because of all that, it is the recommendation of the planning department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV02 2026 as submitted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from members? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Just to clarify, a little bit of nitpicking, but we're talking 2 meters from the inside of the sidewalk.
From the property line. Property line is a little bit on this side of the sidewalk as well.
So we're-
Sidewalks on the road allowance.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're further in from that.
correct.
Okay. And we're talking to the foundation wall, or are we talking to the stairs that are coming from that man door?
Foundation wall.
Okay. So we're better than 7 feet off the sidewalk.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments on? Okay, seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, yeah, you have to ask the public. Public meeting.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, does any member of public wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? Second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? A third and final time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
See, I knew that was gonna happen. It was just. Okay, now I'll call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Motion to adjourn, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Martin. There being no further business discussed, Committee of Adjustment hearing is adjourned at 5:23 p.m.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to the public meeting of planning. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accept the public meeting of planning agenda for Monday, February 23rd, 2026.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. Ratify the minutes. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Brian Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the minutes of the public meeting of planning on Monday, January the 26th, 2026.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so moving on to zoning bylaw amendments. Z01, 2026, LCM Canal. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind council, the three next file, the zoning bylaw amendments, that this is a public meeting of planning, so there's no recommendation from staff on the report. There's no voting from council, and the actual bylaw will be passed at the subsequent council meeting. So this is really just a public meeting to gather all the comments from members of the council and members of the public. First bylaw for this evening. Ferme LCM Kenel, the address 19442 Kenyon Concession Road 8. So that's where it is. So it's pretty much between Dunvegan and Greenfield on Kenyon Concession Road 8, right there, a little closer up. So next to are the typical surplus dwelling. So that's why you see that's a big farmland just east of McDonald's Side Road. So the purple lot that you see there, it's the agricultural land that is severed off the residential lot that we're severing off as their surplus dwelling. So the owner is selling the house and keeping the land for farm use. So in this case, the purpose of the application, to rezone the retained portion, so the large 101 acre portion, from general agricultural to general ag special exception 275 to prohibit residential development, and to acknowledge the deficiency lot frontage from the required 200 meter to the proposed 139 meters, and to rezone the severed portion, so the residential lot, 1.5 acre, from general ag to general ag special exception 276 to prohibit agricultural uses. So this is really just to comply with conditions from the consent application B68-25 that was already passed by the SDG Planning Committee. So this was passed, those was a condition of that severance, so that we rezone those two portions. So that's the severed portion, that's the retained portion. As you can see, both have frontage on Kenyon Concession Road 8. So official plan designation, so agricultural resource lands and rural districts. So again, because in this case, the residential lot is located in the agricultural resource lands, we have to consider the entire property as ag. So we're changing the entire property zoning because the rural lands that are at the back don't have a frontage on a public roadway at this point anyways. Zoning designation, so general agricultural. So even our zoning bylaw is simply general ag all the way across. So the property as a whole is 103 acres. So the owner is keeping 1.5 for the residential lot, and the retained portion is 101 acres. So both are compliant with the zoning bylaw. And lot frontage, so in this case, 53.7 meters on Kenyon Concession Road 8 for the residential lot, which is compliant, but the agricultural portion only has 139 meter left on Kenyon Concession Road 8, so we're acknowledging this deficiency in this zoning bylaw. So other discussion, in this case, there are two buildings on the entire property. The two are being kept with the residential portion of the property. So one is the dwelling, the other one is an accessory storage building for residential use. So both are being kept with the residential lot, no change of use required, and there's no building on the agricultural portion. There is one existing driveway from Concession Road 8 with the existing civic number that's being kept with the residential portion. And there's also another entrance just east of that on that little section. So I'll show it on the picture. I lost my picture. Right there. So as you can see, just on the east. So there's an entrance on the east side to access the agricultural lands at the back. So no other entrances are being, and Just to note, as you can see, there's our old landfill right there where the A is, not affecting the severance at all. So if something would ever happen to the house or whatever, the setback from the landfill is far enough that it doesn't affect any development or whatever. So besides that, that's a picture of the property. So on the right side, you have the dwelling, the accessory building on the left side. So both of these buildings are being kept with the severed portion. That's the entrance that you have here. So that's the residential entrance. The other one is full of snow, so not worth taking a picture of, but that's what it looks like right now. And at the back that you see there, that's the field. So it's really just a typical surplus dwelling severance. So very quickly, Planning Act gives the authority to council to pass such bylaws. The PPS and the SDG official plan, as you know, as long as the severed portion, so the residential portion is being kept to a minimum acreage to accommodate for the dwelling, septic system, accessory uses is being kept, that's okay. In this case, 1.5 acres, a nice rectangular lot on the road, so it makes sense. Septic system is, we took it into consideration, where is it? On the south side of the building, and the well also, so they're both, all the setbacks are compliant. We did get the survey for that one, and also no issues with the new property lines whatsoever. And I believe, in conclusion, based on the criteria above, proposed zoning bylaw conforms with the policies of the SDG official plan, consistent with the PPS, and it's compliant with our zoning bylaw. So again, voting will happen at the subsequent meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Any questions or comments on this from members of council? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a curiosity, the high power transmission line goes through there. Is there any comment from them? Do we have to do that?
No, we did send them the
Okay.
zoning. They did not comment because it's far away from the residential law.
Okay.
So for them, there's no change because it's all agricultural around.
And they just keep their easement and nothing changes?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? I'll ask the clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, does anybody wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? A second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? A third and final time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Z02-2026, High Oaks Farm. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the address for that application, 29495 Brody Road in Dalkeith. So that's where it is. So Glen Sandfield, Dalkeith, just a little bit west of that. That's a close-up of the property. So there's a drain running right across, and it's in total it's a 50-acre property. So on Brody Road, so as you can see there, the pink portion is being severed off the agricultural lands. So we're severing off one dwelling and two accessory buildings from the agricultural lands that have currently two agricultural storages that are staying with the agricultural land. So that's the severance. Again, this is a surplus dwelling, sorry. So the purpose for this application, to rezone the retained portion, so the 49-acre agricultural land, from general ag to general ag special exception 277, to prohibit residential development, to acknowledge the deficiency in lot frontage from 200 to 110, and to acknowledge the deficiency in lot area from our required minimum 74 acres to the existing already short of 49 acres. And it's to rezone the severed portion, so the residential lot, 1 acre, from general ag to general ag special exception 278 to simply prohibit agricultural uses. So the effect of this application, again, it's to clear two of the conditions from the consent application. So this is, again, the same map. So as you can see, the retained portion has the drain running across. The severed portion is where the dwelling is. So official plan designation, agricultural resource lands, and some rural district that is not showing on that map there. But again, we're rezoning the entire the general agricultural portion. So this is the entire, so the blue that you see will basically all be changed, but the floodplain will stay floodplain at that same location. Discussion, so it's a 50-acre property. 1 acre is being cleared off for the residential land. Frontage, so in this case, both have frontage on Brody Road. 110 meter for the agricultural portion, which is a little bit less, well, half less than the 200 meter required. Still permitted to do that for as a surplus dwelling. And the residential lot, also on Brody Road, has 75 meters, which is more than the 45 meter required, compliant with zoning bylaw. Here, so there's, as I showed on the map, there's 5 buildings on the property. So 3 are being kept with the residential lot. So 1 dwelling and 2 accessory storage buildings. Septic system, in this case, is located on the southwest of the dwelling, and the well will also stay on the residential portion. And then the 2 agricultural storage buildings are going to remain on the agricultural land. So there's no change of use required here either. So in this case, currently all the driveways are all connected together. But there is an existing driveway and an existing civic number for the house that's going to be kept with the residential portion. There's also an existing driveway for the agricultural portion off Brody Road, so that's going to stay with so no new entrants are being proposed. So that's just a little bit close up. So you see the 2 entrances there. So the owner may decide to block passage from one to another, but there's 2 entrances. So for us, for Public Works, this was not an issue. So a few pictures of the property. So from the road, you see the dwelling right there, accessory building at the back, and the picture at the bottom, that green building is one of the 2 agricultural storage that is staying with the agricultural portion, and you see that entrance there that's being used and it's existing. So in this case, no issues with stormwater, no issues with private well or septic. We have received no comments from members of the public for that one. We just received that one comment from Conservation Authority for that floodplain. So if there's ever some work to be done around on the agricultural portion, they have to get the clearance certificate from them. Besides that, no other comments or concerns. So yeah, same thing here, Planning Act, can pass these bylaws, PPS, SDG. So the lot is 1 acre, so it's being kept pretty much to the minimum in our current zoning bylaw. So just to note, in future zoning bylaw, those lots would need to be, I believe, 2 acres. So right now it's being really kept to the minimum required to keep as much agricultural lands as necessary. So there's no issue. So in conclusion, proposed zoning amendment conforms to SDG official plan, consistent with the PPS, and it's compliant with our zoning bylaw. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. A question on the accessory buildings that are staying with the farmland. They could not be converted into animals, could not go.
Well, they technically could, but when the owner will do his MDS, so we will run into some issues at that point. So right now, they're agricultural storages. If the use would be changed to intensive livestock, it would create an issue because the MDS is not applied to a house when it's on that same property.
That's right.
In this case, we're severing it off, so if they ever want to change it, it would create an issue, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of council? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Just with regards to the property that the house is on, it looks like it goes right up to the property line on the west, is that right? Is that the west?
A little closer.
To the other property?
That one there?
Yeah. Okay, so
It goes right to the west,
right
yes.
to the west.
Yeah, correct. yeah.
Okay, I'm just happy to see that, because how small could they have made it? Could they have insisted it to be?
1 acre would be the minimum.
Oh, that's the minimum?
Yeah. They need at
Okay.
least 1 acre
They
to
need
create
at
a
least
new
1
lot
acre.
and, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the new zoning bylaw is going to indicate 2 acres?
Yes, yeah, I think we had that discussion before, and so this is, but in this case, 1 acre is kind of minimum, otherwise you would have to incorporate the other
Yes, I
building
understand.
anyways, but, yeah, in the new zoning bylaw, the minimum required in agricultural and rural will be a little bit more than 1 acre.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yes, that's very good
Yeah.
news. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? A second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? A third and final time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
Okay, thank you. So there is no motion for this, so we will move on to Z03 2026, Ron Theora. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the owner for this file, Mr. Ron Théoret, location, the civic address is known as 43 Kincardine Street East in Alexandria. So that's the town of Alexandria, as you can see right there. And a little closer up, so this is what's used to be last year, I guess. So it was previously a school, then a church. So that building is currently all demolished. So it's currently a vacant lot. So that's where it is. It goes from Bishop to Dominion, and the frontage, based on what we have, is Kincardine Street, so the street on the south. So that's what. So the main idea for this application is really to change it from institutional to residential fourth density. So the owner in this case went a little bit further. The lot, the design for the development is a little bit more completed, I guess. So that's why we have all these setbacks. So at the end of the day, we're changing the zoning and we're asking for the reduction from that proposed new zoning. So I'll explain it a little bit later, but anyway, at the end of the day, it's from institutional to residential R4. So that's the purpose of the application. So as you can see, there are many requirements. So the first one up there is the main one. So to rezone the property from institutional to residential fourth density R4-9. And the -9 in this case is because we are asking for all of the other reduction as well. So it's not just a generic R4, it's really just to acknowledge all the deficiencies as well. So lot coverage from the max permitted 35 to the proposed 40. The deficiency landscape area from minimum required 35 to the proposed 30. Acknowledge the exterior yard setback, so east and west, from 9 meter to the proposed 2.8 meter. Acknowledge from the front yard, so which is actually the south Kincardine Street, from the required 9 to the proposed 5.7. To acknowledge the rear yard deficiency from required 9 to the proposed 4.4. And to acknowledge the deficiency in parking spaces from the 41 space to 31. So I'll explain them a little bit later during the presentation, but that's the main goal for this zoning bylaw amendment. And it's all to, I guess, it's to be allowed to permit the construction of a 27-unit, one-story residential apartment development on the property. So that's what's being proposed now. So on the picture, north is up. So you see Kincardine Street at the bottom. So I guess I'll jump right into it. I'll explain it right now. So there's actually 3 rows of 9 one-story, one-bedroom apartment units. So the 2 on the south are back-to-back. So the one on the most on the south are facing Kincardine Street. So those have their driveway on Kincardine Street. So there are currently some on-street parking there for the church. So there would still be, I guess, a few spots between the driveways, but there would be 5 double driveways from Kincardine Street. From Bishop Street North on the right side, where you see that, I guess, more pink strip there, this is it's the fire lane, so it's required for fire protection for fire department. It's 6 meter wide, and this is the entrance for the 2 other rows of apartments. So there's 3 rows of 9, so the 2 are facing each other in the middle of that property, and they will all exit on Bishop Street North on the right side. On the left side, there's Dominion Street. So they're like on-site grading there. You'll see the lot is pretty much level, and then there's a drop on Dominion Street. So we would have required some sloping, and the driveway would be sloped. All the water would be directed towards there. So the owner decided to have the main exit on Bishop Street North instead. So that's what's being proposed. So in this case, an important thing that needs to be taken into consideration here is we're going to R4. So our zoning bylaw, R4, it's the most intensive residential level that we have. It's not that it's made for that, but it's taken a lot into consideration that if you're intensifying your residential unit, you're gonna go up. So that's why, in this case, like if you go 2, 3, 4 stories high, in this case, you have you have less lot coverage and you have more green space. In this case, the owner decided to spread them all on one-story buildings. So it's R4 because it's not townhomes, it's apartment buildings, so it has to be R4. But the main reason for all of this setbacks reduction is really for that. So it's because it's R4, but we're still spreading them out like an R3, really. So our new zoning bylaw is written a bit differently. In this case, this is what we have to work with. So I just wanted to explain that. So this is the main reason for all the reduction. So we calculated it together the other day, just to give an example. And there are other issues, so I'm not saying that this is full-on permitted, but just based on lot area of that property, if we use our R4 zoning, this property could technically have 67 apartments unit. So there's like parking is another thing and whatever. I'm just saying the size of the property is made for 67 apartments. Here we only have 27, but we're asking for all these reductions because we're spreading them all into one-story buildings. So I just wanted to make that clear, I guess. So yeah, that's what it is. So north, the property line north is adjacent to a vacant property. On the west and on the east, there's a single-family dwelling there. So the official plan designation, so it's urban settlement area for Alexandria, of course, residential district. So the owner does not have to do an OP amendment on this case. We just have to do a zoning bylaw amendment. So why? So this is just the reasoning behind the residential district. So why this is being encouraged, I guess, or permitted, because the residential district, as you know, in the OP encourages all sorts of intensification for residential buildings. So in this case, the owner has decided to go with one-story building to kind of more maintain the character on the neighborhood. So instead of proposing a 4-story buildings, which is technically our max, or 3-story, we're going just 1-story, 1-apartment buildings. Zoning designation, so it's currently institutional. So existing use, right now the building is demolished, so there's not really any existing use. But it used to be a church, and previously it used to be a school building. So both compliant with the institutional. Now we're proposing a residential apartment complex, so we need to change the zoning to R4, residential. So surrounding uses, on the north, mostly residential lots. There's the new townhomes that Gerkus Taradrus did a couple years ago with Max Sauvé. So that's right there on the north. On the east, mostly residential lots, and then you have the semi-detaches from the new subdivision that we have, so that's in the area. And then south, there's the church, and then there's also residential lots. And the west, residential properties, and there's the White Rock Motel. So all around, there, aside from the church, I guess, it's mostly 1- and 2-story buildings all around, mostly residential all around as well. There are no so why say it's compatible, really? It's just because there are no sensitive lands anywhere. So it's not like there's a commercial industrial building around. It's residential use all around the property. So it's 0.96 acre. There's no proposed change to the size. It's fully compliant with R4 zoning designation. So as I mentioned, the owner is proposing to go with 1-story, slab on grade, 1-bedroom. So frontage, again, this is compliant with the zoning bylaw. I explained it on the map. So it has frontage on 3 streets. So the civic numbers, definitely for the one on running across Kincardine will be on Kincardine. The other one we'll have to see with the SDG and with our civic number bylaw how we deal. But there's lots of numbering room to play with the civic numbers. So building, so as I said, it's currently vacant. It was demolished in late 2025. The owner is proposing 3 rows of townhomes, which are really apartments. 2 are back-to-back, and 1 is facing Kincardine, and the other one is on the north side facing the other row. They're all proposed to be 1-story. They're all proposed to be 1 bedroom. wood construction, so there's going to be firewalls for protection, but everything is compliant with our zoning bylaw aside from all these setbacks. I guess from our building bylaw, I should have wrote there. So this is the map that I just explained. That's a quick sketch, quick design that the owner did. This is, so again, just designs of what it could look like, so very similar to, I guess, the ones we have on St. James Street right now. So it's same owner. It's like townhomes, so it's really apartment buildings. There's no garage. That's why they each have their own parking in front of their own apartment. So this is a floor plan, so I'll just show it on the next slide here. So that's what they look like. So they're all one bedroom units. Some of them have to be wheelchair accessible because of the amount of the apartment, so 15% have to be accessible. So they're pretty much the same. It's just the door sill that's changing, door width, bathroom setup, etc., to accommodate for wheelchair accessibility. So the setbacks. So all the setbacks that are required, so I'll just jump right to my next slide right there. So I tried, it's hard to explain here what it is there, right? So I just put that there just to show approximately where the building is currently proposed. So right now from the sidewalk, what's being proposed is from the sidewalk, the new building would be approximately 25 feet. Now, I'm not talking about the property line, I'm talking about the actual sidewalk, or the physical location of the sidewalk, which is on the road allowance. So there's room between the sidewalk and the property line. The setback that are requested here are all from property line. What I tried to demonstrate there is really just to show where the building would be located as compared to other buildings around. So the two little green lines that you see there, so between the two green lines, that's 25 feet. That's approximately where the proposed buildings would be. So the owner here is proposing to pretty much keep the existing building line along Bishop Street North for the 3 rows of apartment buildings. So that space that you see there between the sidewalk and that house, approximately 25 feet. Now, mind you, it's approximate, okay? It's not exact, so I'm just trying to demonstrate here what it would look like. So the building would be pretty much aligned with the existing building line on that side, on Bishop Street North. And then my next one here, same idea, but on Dominion Street North. So based on the dimension, like the distance from the existing edge of the road, so the edge of the pavement, to the building, it's 31 feet. So that's what it looks like. So as you can see, where the church or the school used to be, there was a little bit more than 31 feet. So the new building, the proposed building, would be closer to the road than what the previous building was. That's where there's an existing retaining wall, about 2-3 feet. It's going to be maintained. We're going to keep that retaining wall, but that's the distance that the building is going to be from the actual pavement. And same idea from Kincardine Street. So as you can see, the wall, like the edge of the wall, would be approximately 24 feet from the sidewalk. I believe there's a sidewalk. Yes, so from the sidewalk, so 24 feet. So as you can see, the church, that front section of the church, was close to 24 feet. So the only difference here is that the buildings are going to go right across the property, right? So that's where they will be. So I just tried to demonstrate a little bit more what these setbacks represents on site. So that's for the setback. And then lot coverage. So here, I explained it a bit before. So we're really talking about the R4 property. So both lot coverage and landscaping area are here considering the fact that usually an R4, an apartment complex building, will be more than 1 story. It doesn't have to be, but that's why we have these reductions. They're not drastic, but they still exist, like from 35% to the proposed 40. So it's still, I guess, reasonable. And then from 35 to the proposed 30 for green space. The entrance driveways, so I explained them a little bit. So all of the apartment facing Kincardine will have their own entrance off Kincardine Street. All the other ones, their entrance will be provided via the fire lane. Parking, so I know I mentioned it a few times in the report. So there's 27 units proposed. So based on the new provincial Build More Homes Act, technically for all development, we only need one parking per unit. This was made in Toronto, so this is very useful in Toronto where people do not have cars. Our zoning bylaw usually requires 1.5 parking per apartment. We end up requiring 41 space. We're only proposing 31 here. So there's more than what the province is telling us that we need, but there's less than what our zoning bylaw is saying we need. So that's why I included it in there. So all the units have at least one parking, and then there's 4 visitor parking. So I guess I'll go back to the site plan for parking. I just want to explain. So the one on the south, they each have their driveway. There is some space to park some cars along the street. So I know the church uses it a lot for their parking. It's not going to be available anymore as much. Church, I guess it's only for a couple of hours a week. So this is, I guess, not less of an issue. But I agree that some people in the country do have 2 cars. In this case, there's only 4 extra parkings. So it will be up to the owner to ensure that the parking is being respected. Because in this case, I had a few discussions with some of you. The fire lane cannot be used for parking either because it's the fire lane. So this needs to be clear all the time. It's an access for the fire trucks. The owner proposed in this case to have a double parking and then some green space between the units. So kind of like the typical setup that you would see in a crowded subdivision. So there's a tree that will be planted in all of these green space there. So 12 new trees would be planted. Of course, if we require more parking, it's possible along that fire lane. If we remove those green space, we can add more parking spaces. We remove green space, so we have that percentage going up a little bit. So we're stuck in, right? If we add more parking, we remove green space, we remove the trees, etc. So I just wanted to clarify that. So parking, trees. So yeah, there's 2 or 3 large trees currently along Bishop that will have to be removed for this development. One of them is not in the way per se for the driveway, but when we dig for excavation, etc., it will most likely die. So they're both going to be removed. And to compensate, the owner is proposing to plant a tree, as I said, in each of these 12 green spaces there. So we'll have like kind of the look of the typical subdivision, as I said, with the tree would be smaller, of course, but eventually would grow a little bit more. So these are pictures from Google Maps. So as you can see, the first picture up top is from Dominion. So you see that retaining wall there. So there's a drop. So the road is a lot lower than the lot. So this grading will be very similar to what is being proposed now. The one on the bottom is really just looking at the previous building that was there before. You see the parkings that were provided for both the building and the church across the street as well. So on street, there was signs for handicap parking space. There is some across the street as well, but there was some there too for that property. So the picture up top is another picture of what it used to look like. And the one on the bottom is from the same spot, but what it is now. So it's all removed. The building is completely demolished at that point. And this, like the picture at the bottom, this is where the driveways would be. So you would have 5 double driveways along that street there from Kincardine. The picture on the top, looking at the residential dwellings around, looking north on Bishop Street, on Dominion. And then on the right side, this is where all the semi-detaches are, Richard de Guire subdivision. So that's, if you go down there, all the semi-detaches are right there. And the picture at the bottom, we're looking west. You see the church on the right side, on the left side, sorry, and then Main Street just a little bit further down. So the road, the Kincardine Street at that location is very wide, which is also one of the reasons why site triangle was okay, even with the reduced setback. And like on-street parking will be reduced, of course, but that's what the situation is for this development. And then these are two pictures from the corner. So just to show, so the trees on the top will go. And this is where the setback are being requested. Now, unfortunately, there's snow, but you see the sidewalk there. So the buildings on that top picture, the new buildings would be pretty much aligned with the existing single-family dwelling along that street. And then on the south, there's nothing really to compare where the new buildings would be, as the lot is vacant. And the building that you see there are the new 4 townhomes that Mike Sauvé built for Gurgis. And then just one last picture, looking east on with the property right there. So this is all the parking that are currently on the roadside there, sidewalk, and this is where from Kékardine, where the buildings would be. I'll just go to my report to make sure I didn't forget anything. So yeah, civic number, I discussed them. We're going to reevaluate that, but there's lots of room. Connection, so servicing connection, I discussed with Public Works. The existing connection are going to be used for this new development. So may have to be upgraded or whatever, but because it's an existing condition, not a problem. Our servicing can accommodate for this development. Fire department comments were really fire protection, of course. So there's the fire lane. So the fire chief is okay with that. And then there's the Kékardine Street to protect from the other row. And there is one fire hydrant on each south corner of this property. So there's no issues from fire department standpoint. So next step for this development should, like, of course, the bylaw has to pass. After that, a site plan control will have to be applied for because there's more than 10 units, and then building permit and et cetera. So there will, like, why I'm saying that, I guess it's really just because here we're looking at changing the zoning and the setback. So the looks, what the building, 1 bedroom, et cetera, is not really discussed here, like stormwater. This will all be reviewed also at site plan control. So here we're just really concentrating on setbacks and zoning. So yeah, that's, so the Planning Act, so again here, council is out to pass such bylaws. The PPS, so in this case, the PPS will encourage, like if you read sections in the residential district, it will encourage any sorts of densification for residential development. So in this case, it conforms with PPS. And the official plan, pretty much the same, encourages various types of dwellings, of townhomes, of apartment buildings in any type of residential district designated lands. And it's already residential district, so there's no OP amendment required here. So in conclusion, based on the criteria above, so the proposed zoning amendment conforms with the SDG official plan. It is consistent with the PPS, compliant with the Township of North Glengarry zoning bylaw. So in this case, this is why this zoning bylaw is proposed to be changed. So it's not compliant at this point. We have to pass the zoning bylaw to change the zoning. And the -9 exception is to make it compliant with all the requirements for the setback for the proposed development that's being, that will be proposed to council in the near future, I guess. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Very thorough. So I think if council doesn't mind, we'll go to members of the public first. Voice your opinion. If you can make your comments fairly succinct and ask your questions, that would be great. So I'll ask the clerk to.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
Okay, if you could come to the microphone and state your name.
Okay, thank you. My name is Colleen Shepherd. The councillors already have received an email from me, and I've talked to people in the community. We really feel that there are too many units being planned for that parcel of land. Nobody's against having more living space, apartment space, nice apartments, but I think he's trying to crowd too much into there just by, indicated by the special, whatever word you use, the allowances that he wants, you know. more coverage on the bill, 40% instead of 35, less green space than there should be, less parking spaces. I mean, where are visitors going to park? And the front row of units backing out or driving out, whichever, from their driveways onto Kincardine. Kincardine's a fairly busy street, especially like morning and afternoon. There's school buses coming and going by there, and I just don't think it's a good place for them to have to be parking out. The main thing, I think it's too much intensification for that area of town. I've lived in that area of town for 60 years now, and it's a nice area of town, and I just don't think this is going to mesh with it. Anyway, that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of council at this point? No? Okay.
3, Mr. Mayor, does any member wish to speak?
Yep, go first.
My name is Eunice Lee, and I live on St. George Street East. And so it is the neighborhood that I live in as well. And I think it's very commendable. We need more housing. We need to have affordable housing, especially for elderly. So there's no objection to the general aim. The difficulties that we face are trying to resolve a number of different issues which need to be considered in much more detail. I think the allowances that are requested are considerable, and I think that they reflect, as Colleen has said, the fact that there's a compactment and a densification which goes beyond the area itself, or perhaps even, in fact, our town. I don't know if there are any other RN special density R4 designations, but as you mentioned, they go up. They're not spreading out. And the desire to go out creates a lot of logistical problems as the parking, exiting, the flow of traffic, the volume of traffic, and even snow removal. Where do you put the snow? From the lane, from the driveways. There's no space to accommodate these things. What about the garbage? With R4 designation, there's supposed to be dedicated areas for garbage for each unit, storage, and also to prevent animal infestation, smell, what have you. Perhaps this has been considered, but space is a limitation, and we have to think about all of these practical issues. So going ahead, perhaps with the idea of proposing this for acceptance at a next meeting is premature. There needs to be more consultation, more people who are able to give a different perspective on things. So I'm in favor of the concept, but not the densification.
Okay, thank you very much. And we had a hand up at the back. Yep, go ahead.
My name's John Fairchild. I live 4 houses to the north on Bishop. I have just a few remarks, and with respect to the 2 previous speakers, I believe that the technical issues, tell me if I'm wrong, but those technical issues should be dealt with in the next stages, correct? Snow, garbage? Yes. In other words, those technical issues will be dealt with. I want to make some general remarks. We all know that Canada has a critical shortage of smaller and lower cost housing, and Mark Carney has just set as a critical goal for Canada that we fix this problem as soon as possible. So this is exactly what Ron Terra proposes to work toward in Alexandria, and to do it right now, not in 5 years or 6 years. The Conservatives are complaining about things being way down the road. Here we go, you know. The few minor adjustments he needs are, I think, relatively harmless, and there are some technical issues that are real, and you're going to have to deal with them, okay? I'm a former builder myself, by the way. I'm a former infield builder in Ottawa. Canada needs hundreds of projects just like this. Right now, we need hundreds of them to, get up to 1 million in new, smaller and lower cost houses. So if not us now, then who, when, and where?
Thank you. There are other, go ahead, come on up.
If you don't mind, I'd like to remain seated because I'm someone with illness.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say that I am one of Ron and Nadine's tenants. We downsized for pre-retirement a few years back. And just want to mention that I think that Ron and Nadine are doing only good to the town. I mean, they are fair landlords. They have the right to raise us incredible amounts over the past 5 years, and they did not. They raised us a minimal amount every year. So I think they're commendable for what they're trying to do for the people that are in need. So I don't think that the few things that need to be rectified or dealt with, I'm sure that Ron and Nadine are professional enough and respectful enough of the town and your laws that they will be dealing with them honestly. They're planning to plant more trees to resolve the green space. Alexandria's a small town with about, 2,900 people, maybe 3,000. We have a huge parking town. We have beautiful green spaces, walking trails. So he's maintaining his properties that he has already with good faith. So why not allow him to, like the gentleman said, there is an extreme shortage of housing for people that are in need. But I think his propositions are fair.
Okay, thank you. Did we get your name at the beginning?
My name?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm Marie-Hélène Saint-Denis, and I live on St. James Street.
Okay, thank
Sorry,
you.
what was the name? Saint-Denis?
Marie-Hélène.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there anyone else that wishes to speak to this? Okay, the back, or you go ahead.
You're not coming up? I thought you were following.
Sorry.
My name is Nadziane Théoré, and this is my husband, Ron Théoré. So I just want to point out that in the area, there are other similar type of buildings, only 250 meters away from where we are proposing to build. There is Le Foyer that has 30 units, and those are 565 square feet each. And also there is Villa Florence, which is at 111 Kenyon Street East, which is about 500 meters away from where we are proposing. And there is also 30 units there of 359 square feet units. And also we have built 2 aplexes on Kenyon Street East. And these are actually more in square footage because there are 16 units. And what we are proposing is 27 units of 600 square feet. So they are very similar in size. They are even smaller in the total square footage. So the new units we are proposing will be geared to semi-retired people or retired people. And most of these people only have the 1 car. So I don't think that parking will be an issue. Plus there will be 4 visitors parking, and there is parking also on the street. As Jacob mentioned, there are going to be some units that are going to be wheelchair accessible, so 5 of them will be wheelchair accessible. But also all our units will be on 1 floor, and there is no steps going in. So it will be easy to access for older people, and the parking will be directly in front of their door. Did you want to address the snow or the garbage right now?
Well, there is a spot for garbage there on the edge of the
So on the left side
left
of,
side, fine line.
it will be an enclosed area with dumpsters. So we will have to hire a private company to pick up the garbage and recycling. And the snow will be removed onto the green space on the property. And,
Yeah, there's more than enough room.
yeah. And there will still be space on Kincardine for people that are going to church, let's say. There will be still space for 4 cars on that street,
On the one side.
on the one side, on Kincardine,
Yeah.
yeah. Directly in front, yeah. Did you like to add something?
No, that's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And that gentleman back.
Hi, my name is Jean-Marc Michaud. I live at 33 St. George Street East. And like my neighbors, we don't oppose, I don't oppose, me and my partner, we don't oppose the construction. It's just the amount of, that is proposed. It's just like trying to put as much people there as possible. And I know the plan makes sense and everything, but it's just the amount of people that are going to be living there with, especially with the traffic that's already busy. And I sent an email to Jacob. And what about property value also that is to be considered? I know there's mentioned that it's 55 and plus, but I mean, I'm 60, semi-retired, but I still have two cars at home. So, you know, so there's lots of things to be considered, especially that it's going to be close to the sidewalks and lots of people for the amount of space. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody further like to, yes?
Sorry, I meant to add something. I'm on sick leave right now, but I am an ODSP employee.
Yep.
I work with people with disabilities and that are on pension. I hear from my clients every day, crying, calling me. I'm on the street, I have nowhere to go. Landlords are gouging them. Renting rooms in a house that they bought out from a residential person. Renting individual rooms in a home at $900, $1,000, $1,200 a month. One room, not an apartment. My clients are crying every day for more housing. I think this should be taken into consideration. I don't think that it's overcrowding. I think we need more housing.
Okay, thank you. Yes, go ahead, sir.
And I can vouch for that because I work at the post office and I see that every day. Where people come into the post office and they're renting rooms from people, from landlords that are living in Montreal, in Ottawa, and renting rooms $1,900 and $1,200 a month. That's wrong. That's just dead wrong. And I see them every day. I have the leases. And I'm wondering, how are these people renting? Is the township aware of what's going on? Renting rooms without, because I have to open up a box for these people. And to be able to open up a box, the permanent address, let's say 58 Dominion, whatever, has 4 bedrooms in there. And these people that come to open up a box, they can't open it up because it's 58 Dominion, not 58A, not 58B, not 58C or D. So now I get a lease, the person comes back with, well, this is 58A. Okay, does it really exist? Or are we just creating things like that? What she's saying is true. I see it every day. So we do need places to live.
Okay, thank you. And, sorry, your name?
George Browse.
Okay.
I work at the post office.
Okay, are there any,
Never seen it before.
are there any further comments in favor or against? So I'll ask you to ask one more time.
Second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented? Third and final time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application being presented?
Okay, thank you. Questions from members of council? Go ahead, Councillor Massey.
Yeah, I agree with every side that talks tonight. And first of all, I want to thank Ron and Najin for the very big investments you made in my committee, in my small town. Me and Jamie, well, we're born here just like Colleen. He's going to be close to 60 years too pretty soon for me. But thank you for what you did, the money you put in, the older buildings that were like a little not too far from this project on Bishop Street. That was kind of that we're very happy that you renovated and well you put down.
That was Councillor Shepherd's favorite building.
Yeah. Anyway, but I do hear the people that are saying that it's going to be a little bit too crowded. I lived through in this town, and I can't picture a lot that size having that many houses too tight. It's going to be too full. Like it doesn't. I do appreciate the fact that they're one room, they'll be affordable, all of that. It's just that I think if you'd come back to it, maybe a couple of duplex in the middle or something, and then try to shorten or minimize the impact of overall. It's just that it seemed like to me it's too much of a visual thing. And then, yeah, the new bylaw from the province is 1 car per apartment. That we don't, like Jacob said, we don't live in Toronto, and yes, it's the new guidelines. We don't have to go by them. Like we don't have to. I don't think we are obliged to go down to one. And like I see on Kincardine Street there, and I do. Colleen's saying the bus run down there, and there's snow and the people like sidewalk. And then in the fire lane also, I can see people parking in front of the houses temporarily, and then something will happen. That garbage bin over there is far for the people that are in Kincardine, and they're gonna walk on the lawn on the other side. If you could just, when you come back, like I'm not against the zoning bylaw, because this is what we're looking at tonight, just a 2R4, institutional 2R4. It's just that it's way too, it covers too much, like we did the one with Minimax, and it's a big building, and yet there's room to breathe around it. Like this one is too packed. Like, and again, I want to thank you guys and I appreciate the work that you've done. It's just that this is, Mike, too much.
Okay.
Reduce it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, this kind of development, absolutely, I agree, is needed, and it's needed quickly. And that's what, you know, Ron Thioret, manages these kinds of projects very, very well. I too have had some concerns about the amount of the density of the project. I think, Jacob's explanation of the decision to go out instead of up does put pressure on those setbacks. There's no question. But I think it's probably more acceptable to have 1-story dwellings than to have an apartment building there. I think that would have been very, very unappetizing for everybody. And so when you have to give and take with these kinds of developments, compromise is always required. And personally, in order to see this happen and happen quickly, I'm happy to give up on a little bit of space. The green space, I think, is still adequate. I'm glad that those trees are being planted. Maybe we can get more trees planted than that. But I'm really pleased that Ron didn't decide to go up, because this room would have been 10 times the number of people in it. So I do have as well some concerns about the parking, that we're not creating our own problem by not having enough parking, and then we have got on-the-street parking in the middle of the winter, which you can't have. But, Jacob explained to me, or maybe it wasn't Jacob, can't remember, that the people who rent these units are going to have to be aware of those parking restrictions. And so if you've got 2 cars, and you want to rent the units, but you only have one parking space, well, you may not be able to rent the unit. It may be as simple as that. So, and those realities exist in any decision anyone makes in terms of what kind of housing that they're going to rent or buy. So, at the end of the day, I think the compromise is a good one. And I realize, I understand, Colleen, your comments are well taken, but I think this is a good move. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Further question, go ahead, Councillor Martin.
I'm often having a lot of inquiries from seniors in Maxville asking about what's going on. They want to move to a place like Alexandria that has more amenities, like retirement age. And, you know, at retirement age, a lot of people only have the one vehicle. Some, I'm sure you might have two still, but there's some additional parking, but you know that going in. You know what you're getting, it's rentals. You don't need big, huge backyards, and it's apparently for seniors. It's targeted at seniors. So the problem is not just here in Alexandria, people looking for places. It's all throughout North Glengarry. So.
Okay, thank you. Further questions, go ahead. Councillor Cadell, then Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Being a parent of young people who have just finished school and are leaving the nest, and as you say, the rents are just totally outrageous, and to be able to have something like this that may be a little bit more affordable, and maybe reduce the rents in other places because they don't have a monopoly on it. So I'm very much in favor of it. As far as setbacks and things like that, I've been to England and Scotland, and that's the way they live. Nobody has, I shouldn't say nobody, but in the towns, it's row house forever. And, it's not what we're used to, but we have to get used to it. And so I'm in favor of it. One question, if people park on Dominion Street, can they walk into the development without walking over to someone's property because you've got the garbage at the end of the street there?
No,
And there's a retaining wall too on Dominion Street.
it's closed off.
There's a retaining wall. There's a wall even. Could we build a ramp over that? Small bridge.
There's a possibility that put steps though.
Yeah, something to make it possible, because Dominion is a fairly wide street for town, and that might be a way to get in. But I think of my own kids. Are you going to sell them or rent them?
That's right.
Rent?
Yeah.
So, they're available and hopefully bring the cost of other rents down. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad Councillor Cadell brought up parking on Dominion, because it looks like there's some space there, and I was thinking stairs into that could be a bit of a solution and would potentially provide some parking for the church as well if they lose, we're talking probably 5 off of Kincardine. Couple of things. One, I'm looking at the driveways. You've got them set at 19 feet, which potentially could be 2 cars, right? It would be tight, but if they're small cars.
But there's a lot of tents that we have now that don't even have any cars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as long as people get along, then.
No, but it's
Neighborly.
it's an opportunity for somebody to rent one of
Absolutely.
their spaces.
Yep,
if,
yep, use the extra space. So in terms of support and dissent, it was kind of a 3 and 3, excluding you guys speaking for yourselves. So I thought that was quite interesting. For the 3 of you who are opposed, what would you think would be a reasonable number of units? I'm curious. Because we're talking 27 right now.
I guess it depends how many people are in each unit. If they're singly occupied versus couple, the number of people are going to vary. And I think the point we all need to stress is I think we're all very positive about this as a project. And it is only for seniors, 55 plus, it's not for young people. So it is targeted for a certain population who really needs to have access to it. So I think that in essence, the question becomes if we don't go up and we keep it as it is, and there is a general agreement about how it operates, we have to realize that there'll have to be compromises everywhere, which I think people are willing to make. But we live in a town that has lots of land and lots of opportunity to build on the land. And we're condensing in an area that has some historical significance. It just, in some ways, is good on one side, but it has some limitations because of that. So if it fits with what is generally done in most rural areas in terms of intensification, then I think we can accept that. But I would like comparisons done to see whether this is really practical. And I think, you've shown so well with your units how nicely that they're laid out, that there's no, the taste is impeccable. And how things are done. It's just a volume that we're grappling with, trying to figure out how we go from properties. And they don't all show all the way down. But if you take the same amount of land in the surrounding houses and you count up the number of people who are living around, there are maybe 6, 7 people, maybe 8 people in the same square footage that you're putting. Could be as many as well over 50 people if there are couples living in the building. So we're looking at a dramatic intensification. And again, it's just a matter of refining it. This will be a test for everything that's going on. In other words, it becomes an example. So it needs to be done thoroughly and effectively for both the tenants and for the town and for those that are surrounding it. So this is sort of the, I'll be quiet now, but that.
I'll just make a quick comment on one of the things that you mentioned, that we don't have a lot of land in Alexandria to build on. Aside from the development we're still unsure what's happening behind the arena. We have the one being built on McDougall Street, and if you go through the rest of the lands, we have some at the south end of town that are owned by a family that's lived there a long time. We have the big old snow dump in the middle of town, but other than that, very few building lots in Alexandria. So I get what you're saying, but really there are not a lot more places to build on. So at this time, go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment. Someone had mentioned about property values going down. I don't see that. I see property values going up in that area because of this. And so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just?
Yeah, okay, last one, we gotta
Just
move.
to go back, really, we're talking here about setbacks. That's what this is. We're going to R4, which is the change, and setbacks, which is the other change. Some coverage. The 5% issues are, I'm gonna say, minimal in grand scheme of the whole plan. When you look at the setbacks that are proposed, and we can use either Bishop or Dominion, or really Kincardine, they're all about the same in terms of 19 feet. Jacob's illustration of 25 on Bishop. When you consider, if you go for a walk down Dominion, going south towards St. George, and at the corner of St. George, your setbacks are, I'm going to say, about 5 feet on that house at the corner. Give or take, yeah? So if we're talking about how close it is, and that's a 2-story house, that's a big house. These are 1-stories. And the point of those setbacks that was made about an R4, the reason they are so significant in the zoning is because it accounts for height. So when we bring that height down and we go out a little bit, it's net effect of the same thing in terms of shadowing, in terms of infringement on neighboring properties. That's really what the setbacks are about. So I wanted that to just be food for thought. Everybody said they're in support of it in principle. The biggest issue for those who are against is density. And I'm going to say a conversation with everybody and reasoning and final decisions about layout. If we vote yes on this right now.
We aren't voting.
Sorry, yes, we're not voting. So, thank you. When it does come for us to vote, what we would vote on is the setbacks. It's not the layout, it's not the aesthetic, it is purely where the envelope of the buildings could go to. So the site plan control to address landscaping, to address garbage, to address, finishes of the building even potentially. That's all site plan control, so a different beast in itself. So just so everybody's clear on that one, and we don't have a vote.
Okay, thank you. So to wrap up everything that Councillor Madden said was in a very, is that, we will sit down. We've heard, they're here, they've heard it. We'll sit down with them, see what we can work out together. But I think in general, most of members of council are in favor of this going forward, and to what Councillor Massey said, everything that the Theoras have done is beautiful work, and I look at the one where the old building was at the end of St. George, and I go by there with a tear in my eye all the time because that thing stood there for 25 years abandoned at least. And so anyway, so just to wrap up is to say that we will, we've heard everybody, and we will sit down, Jacob will sit down with the Theoras and see what we can work out. Okay. You want to ask for the final time? Did we ask the third one? We did three? Okay, perfect. So Deputy Mayor Williams, sorry, public meeting. I already did that one. Adjournment, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley. There being no further business to discuss, the public meeting of planning was adjourned at 6:36 p.m.
All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we are going to move right into our regular meeting of council. We'll let people get up, and I'm sure none of you want to stay for it. Okay, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Meeting went a little bit longer than we anticipated. We will just move to call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Massey. No, not.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda of the regular meeting of council on Monday, February 23rd, 2026.
Great. All those in favor? Motion is carried. None opposed. Adoption of the previous minutes, Counselor Cadell. We're just moving on because of the time constraints.
Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council minutes, Monday, February 9th, 2026.
Great, thank you. Question, go ahead.
Just one point in the minutes, Jenna, number 13, confirmation bylaw. My name was massacred in there a little bit. Not a big deal, but 13. I didn't have a chance to send it to you today.
Oh, that's fine. I'll look into it. I'll take it. Thank you.
Oh,
As
such a
amended.
complainer.
I know, it's terrible.
Okay, any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, delegations. Welcome to the SDG Libraries.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, staff, and any members of public who may be watching. My name is Rebecca Luck. I am the Director of Library Services at the SDG Library, and I'm here tonight to discuss what we've been up to in the past year and what we can look forward to in the coming. The Township of North Glengarry has 2 library branches. The Alexandria branch is one of our busiest and most well-utilized branch. It's open 44 hours per week. And in 2025, the Alexandria branch circulated over 41,000 print materials, nearly 3,000 digital materials. We had nearly 3,000 hours of public computer usage, over 1,000 library patrons, 17,000 visitors, and at the Alexandria branch alone, we registered 433 new members. The Alexandria branch is well situated, being adjacent to the Alexandria Arena. It serves as a community hub, hosting a recurring program for the Writers Group. But they also host a lot of seasonal and special programs throughout the year. I've listed some of them, but just some to note. We have many different artist meet and greets. In 2025, we hosted Victoria Stevenson, Elizabeth Rary, John Sims, Paige Renault Sinden, Rosemary Lorimer, Laura Peck, and Carla Dancy. What's really nice is if you ever go into the Alexandria Library, they actually have their art posted on the walls for everyone to see from the public. We also host local author visits. In last year, we had Danielle Dumais. We had a Lego challenge. We had a program all about ADHD, native plants workshop, Kobo e-reader workshop. We had a preserve your past photo scanning event, canopy movie night, design your own 3D print, and for the kiddos, we had cardboard constructions. Again, some of just a few of our programs. In 2025, we had 248 adults attend these programs, over 1,000 teens, and over 400 children. The Maxville Library branch is open 16 hours per week, and in 2025, the branch circulated over 4,000 print materials, 858 digital materials. We had 67 hours of public computer usage, 179 library patrons, over 2,000 visitors, and the Maxville branch registered 98 new members. Maxville patrons hold a lot of community pride with recurring programs such as their book club called All Booked Up. They also have a knit night and a toddler story time that recur every single month. Very similarly as to Alexandria, the Maxville branch hosts a variety of seasonal and special programs. Again, I've listed just a few highlights. We had the watercolor paint night, traditional rug hooking. We had Dino-Vember parties for the kids. We hosted an open house to welcome our newest LSA to the team. We had a morning movie, an intro to chair yoga, and we had local Glengarry archivist Alan McDonald host a Maxville History and Archival Treasures, where he discussed Maxville and the area, sharing stories from the past, including old photos of Main Street, the Highland Games, the fair, and more. So Maxville hosted 283 adults through their programming and 154 kids. As part of our community outreach initiative, SCG Library has been popping up at community events in Alexandria and Maxville. A lot of these events have been primarily targeted towards presentations to schools or kindergarten open house nights. So we went to St. Finnan's, Lagan, Telvision, Elder Rouleau, and Maxville Public School. We also went to the Alexandria Story Walk. We were there at the Maxville Fair and Apple Hills North Glengarry Touch a Truck event. Just to note, the numbers in the parentheses are the number of interactions with the public at each of these events. So very well attended. We do other types of outreach, and for Alexandria, we conduct monthly outreach services to the Palace Long-Term Care Facility, the Palace Retirement Community, and Chateau Glengarry, where we provide library materials to these residents. We also host monthly visits from the Boys and Girls Club, and we host visits from GDHS. Every 3 weeks, we host 3 classes across grades 7 and 8, wherein they come to the library and they're able to borrow library materials. Similarly, for Maxville, they conduct outreach services to Maxville Manor every month for their book club and every 6 weeks for their library material exchanges. They also host visits from their public schools. So at Maxville Public, they welcome the kindergarten class and the grades 2 and 3 classes, again inviting these kiddos to come into the branch and borrow some materials. I would be remiss if I didn't do a bit of a sales pitch. So we were looking at a lot of the activities that we do at these branches, but as a system-wide, you know, when you think of the library, many people think of, I can go there and borrow a book. But in reality, we're so much more than that. So North Glengarry residents are encouraged to visit and explore their local library to borrow books, DVDs, magazines. We have free Wi-Fi. You can come to the library to print, scan, copy, fax documents. You can use a computer. You can attend one of these programs that we were talking about. We also have museum passes. You can go up to the Ottawa Nature Museum, the Science Museum. They're free to anyone. You can borrow musical instruments. So if you have a kid who wants to learn to play the guitar, go on over to the library, see if it's for them before buying one. We have games, we have puzzles. You can borrow nature and exercise kits. Oddly enough, Zumba kits are still really popular. And we just recently introduced board game collections. And so you can go to the library and have a family fun night borrowing a board game. At the SCG Library, community members can connect to our digital library where they can listen to audiobooks, they can borrow ebooks, comics, magazines, they can read e-newspapers, listen to radio shows, watch movies and TV series through our Canopy app. They can watch craft tutorials through our Creative Bug app, learn languages, and they can learn new skill. LinkedIn Learning is very popular for corporate settings, and then also learn through Canadian Encyclopedia. For those looking to create, community members can turn their imagination to reality with the use of 3D printers, vinyl printers, sewing machines, button makers. We have a converter that takes a VHS to DVD. We have a die cut machine, laser engraving, sublimation printer, and you can scan photos. We term this the Maker Lab. It's located in Finch, but a lot of these services, you have a 3D printer here in Alexandria branch. And I brought just some little 3D prints just to show you what it can do. They're so popular with the kids, little tiny fidget spinners or articulated animals. I don't know if anyone's seen like the big dragons. Kids absolutely love them. But if anyone would like one of these, I have a box. So you'll remember that the Maker Lab is really about creativity and doing crafts and really getting creative. It's a way to explore supporting maker-style programming through hands-on learning experiences. Kids are encouraged to design, build, experiment, and problem solve in meaningful ways. And I've given 2 examples of what we've done. So over March break of last year, the Maker Lab shared the joy of making sublimation bookmarks with all branches. So children were given the opportunity to design and create their own colorful works of art. This year, what we're doing is we're having a March break bookmark contest, and this will be open to 2 different age groups, and kids will be able to design and have their bookmarks be voted on and be professionally printed and distributed across all the libraries. We also hosted Take and Make kits, and what these are was that each kit came with all the materials needed to make the snowflake bookmark. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it's the picture on the right. So we used our Cricut machine to cut that bookmark shape and punch all the holes beforehand. And then we used our 3D printer to print out the not the filament, but the needle to sew. And then we also provided with the kids with the sewing material, and they were able to just sew that bookmark. So we had 240 of these kits distributed at all of our 15 branches, and they were gone within a month. So very well appreciated. This one I'm quite proud of, and it's something that we were very fortunate to come by. So last year, the SDG Library formed a new partnership with the Upper Canada District School Board and its Parent Involvement Committee. This collaboration is rooted in a shared commitment to enhancing student wellness, supporting families, and deepening parent engagement across our communities. So thanks to the generous donation from the Upper Canada District School Board and PIC, the SDG Library has curated a collection of over 450 titles designed to support parents, children, and teens. This diverse selection includes both fiction and nonfiction, with a strong focus on Canadian authors and themes that matter to families today. So we were looking at parenting strategies and family engagement, mental health and emotional well-being, addiction awareness and support, health, nutrition, and active living, social development and screen-free activities, diversity, inclusion, and identity, and lastly, post-secondary planning and youth empowerment. So this partnership was an investment of just over $13,000, and these books are hosted at the SDG Library, but anyone within the Upper Canada District School Board geographical region can borrow them. The SDG Library hosts the TD Summer Reading Club all summer long. It's a program designed to inspire children to build upon their literacy skills. The program is delivered by 2 summer students, and it's done across all 15 branches, providing stories, themed crafts, activities, and a reading challenge for children. So last year, it was a 7-week program. We saw an increase in attendance of children. We had just over 1,300 attendees back in 2025. And with regards to that reading challenge that I mentioned, we had over 4,000 reading ballots earned. So that's just how much reading the kids did and entered into this draw. I have to mention SDG Reads. So SDG Reads is sloganed "One Book, One Community" program that encourages all residents across SDG to read the same title before coming together for an evening with the author. So last year, we hosted Nita Prose in her series Molly the Maid. It was hosted in North Stormont Place in October. We welcomed over 200 attendees, and we had 30 VIP attendees. And this actually brought the hall to capacity. We could not give away any more tickets than this. We circulated the book series 256 times, and we had 136 additional copies sold. In these sales, we had over 2,500 to support future SDG Reads events. Pages for Presents was established back in 2024, and it's something that has really kicked off, and it's again just giving you a snapshot of how SCG Library is in the community and how it's helping in different ways. So in the month of November, Pages for Presence invites community members to help spread the joy of reading by donating new books to children in need. And last year, we received 216 books, and they went to local organizations such as the Children's Aid Society, Koala Place, Naomi's Family Resource Center, and House of Lazarus. So I've talked a lot about what we did in 2025. Looking ahead at 2026, we want to continue all these amazing programs that we continue to offer, all the amazing partnerships and outreach events that we attend. But in addition to this, looking more strategically, we'll be going into our strategic plan design. We're also doing a feasibility study for a possible expansion. We're looking at completing a membership drive as part of our Ontario Public Library Month to boost our numbers. We're looking at facility improvements. And lastly, we're launching a new program called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And it's a turn of phrase that you can imagine exactly what it is. We encourage kids to read 1,000 books before they hit school. Thank you very much for your time and for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. If there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. And just want to say those numbers are pretty impressive for Alexandria, and with Maxville with only 16 hours, also very impressive. So great work, and people don't realize how much there is at a library that's just not a book to take out. And the sooner more people understand that, I mean, you just look at having your free membership, and then you can access all the newspapers, and where people, have to buy press reader if they're online, and here they are for free. And so I think it's pretty impressive. And I do want to say that Councillor Massey and I both need a fidget toy. So, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Rebecca, just wanted to say congratulations on your work with the Upper Canada District School Board. As chair of the Rural Education Committee or whatever, we've been trying to do as many things with the Upper Canada Board or whatever, and it's not always easy. And so that's a very positive thing to be doing or whatever. So thank you very much for that.
Go ahead, Councillor Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can we get maybe some targeted, or not even necessarily targeted, but just social media stuff that we can share on ours, especially making people more aware of all of the things that are available at the library and how easy it is to get a membership and the fact that they can do a ton of this online?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would love that. Local collaboration with our local municipalities is paramount. We are, at the end of the day, municipal service, and we rely heavily on our local townships to promote from within. Currently, as it stands, we do have open communications with program promotion, but anything that we can enhance that promotion piece, we'd love that.
I think just something that's sort of a regular repetition, so that it's not just once a year, it's once a quarter, so that people are reminded and may see it if they didn't see it last time. And especially when the membership drive comes out, that we can repeat it every couple of days. Please.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of membership, who here on council has a library card? And I'm going to ask for them. Yeah, you're not a card-carrying library, so it's just Councillor Massey.
I was never aware of the so many programs, free programs. It'd be nice though if the township would Facebook these. Yeah.
We will.
And can I make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah, just I'm surprised that in this day and age and of computers and online stuff that there's that many people that still go to the library. Like, it's amazing, and you must do a very good job because keep people interested, because it could easily be forgotten. But anyways, thank you.
There's a lot of the programs are accessible just from your computer as well, so I think that's really important to note. So, go ahead, Councillor Martin.
I recently became a member of our library in Maxville, and I got into the audiobooks. So I listen to them when I'm working around the house and whatnot. I never did think I'd enjoy it, but every time I borrow a book, it gives me a receipt reminding me how much money I saved using the library instead of going out and purchasing. And I walked in one night on knitting night, and ladies looked up and said, "Oh, it's just a man."
Well, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so again, thank you, Rebecca, for your presentation. Much appreciated. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to staff reports, Administrative Department, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report AD 2026-04, Civil Marriage Solemnization, rescind bylaw number 33, 2024, and that Council approves bylaw number 15, 2026, being a bylaw to rescind bylaw 13, 2024, and authorize the civil marriage solemnization service and issuance of marriage licenses in the Township of North Glengarry, and that this bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 23rd day of February 2026.
Thank you, Councillor. Jenna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that word's hard, the solemnization. I have to say it a couple times, so bear with me. So this report being presented is a bit of a housekeeping. So as we know, the Township of North Glengarry has offered the service since 2022. And a bylaw was originally enacted to recognize the CAO clerk and delegate authority to designated staff. It was amended in 2024 to reflect staffing changes, but since then, 2 of the appointed individuals, including the former CAO clerk, are no longer with the township, and the new CAO clerk has been appointed. This bylaw before you this evening is to recommend rescinding bylaw number 33, 2024, recognizing Michael Fothrop as the current CAO clerk, removing former employees, and to redelegate authority to the deputy clerk and the treasurer to perform civil marriage solemnization and issue marriage licenses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And did we do any research on whether a member of council is able to be appointed by the...
I did, and I cannot, but I will look further.
Okay. I gotta marry somebody this year, so, I mean, Brian's son isn't even legally married right now. Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as
Yeah.
long as you could do the whole ceremony and then just have me come in or whomever come in who's appointed and just do the little verbal parts that you have to,
Yeah.
by law, by the province, do it, and then you're good.
All righty, we're in business. Okay, any other further questions or comments?
Should we start calling you Bruce McDonald?
No, Reverend. Yeah. Yeah, I like it. The Rev, just cooler. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, and moving on to Public Works Department, PW 2026-04, Drinking Water System Reports 2025. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report number PW 2026-04, Annual Drinking Water System Summary Reports for 2025 for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Angela. There you go.
Good evening. For anyone who I have not met or haven't seen in a year, my name is Angela Cullen. I'm with the Waterworks Department in primarily performing compliance duties. So once a year, I come and talk to you about the annual reports, and this year will be no different from any other. So I just wanted to let you know that the presentation that I'll be doing is just an overview of the actual reports. You should have received a copy for both Alexandria and Glen Robertson, which is the full report that gets submitted to the ministry. So we will begin with Glen Robertson. So Glen Robertson, for anyone who doesn't know, this is kind of a quick overview of where the water plant is and where the water pipes run. So it's only partially servicing the village, or the hamlet of Glen Robertson. It is a small municipal residential drinking water system reclassified last year to a Class 1 treatment and a Class 1 distribution. It services approximately 50 homes and is designated as a Goody well, which means groundwater under the direct influence of surface water. We use chlorination and UV as the primary treatment. We have no water storage in this area, and we currently have noted there's limited growth in the area. In regards to permits, we are up to date with our municipal drinking water license. We are currently in the renewal process and expect to have our new license in March 2026. I have already gone through and approved the draft that was submitted in February. Our drinking water permit will also be reviewed at the same time as municipal drinking water license, and our permit to take water is valid until 2035. When it comes to the flow summary, the water usage was similar to the previous years. There's been no change, no growth to note. We haven't noticed any shortfalls from the well production. We did start monitoring the well levels in September due to the low water issues raised by the RRCA. Our daily allowable that we're allowed to produce from this well is 224 cubic meters per day. We had a maximum flow at 40.6 cubic meters and an average flow of 24.2. Which puts our current system capacity at 10%. When it comes to monitoring, sampling the water, so we have operational monitoring, which is just our daily routines where we monitor the quality. We haven't noticed any changes in the raw, treated, or distribution water. When it comes to our sampling, we have routine sampling, which is completed weekly. Our levels are well below anything that is required. Our quarterly sampling is done once every 3 months for nitrate, nitrite, THM, and HAAs. We have also well below any of the limits required. When it comes to the additional sampling, we have inorganic and organic sampling required once every 5 years. Our next sampling round is 2027. For lead, we have a biannual monitoring every 6 months and then a 3-year sampling cycle. So the next sampling cycle will be in 2026. For sodium and fluoride, it's every 5 years. And once again, that sampling cycle will be in 2027. And the only upcoming changes to note are the new permits. Although we do have new permits coming in, there shouldn't be very many changes to the actual system or the requirements. When it comes to expenses, this is a fairly small system. We had no significant expenses noted in 2025. We had some operational issues with our UV units and our chlorine pumps, the majority of which were determined to be caused by maintenance, and once they were determined, they were repaired. We had some minor issues of high flows, majority of which being internal plumbing leaking or damage. And then, obviously, as we talked about before, the well level monitoring, so we're just now trying to get a baseline for our well levels in Glen Robertson. When it comes to our annual programs, we had the spring flushing, which was done in 1 day, valve turning, which was done in 2 days, and we had no construction throughout the 2025 season. When it comes to compliance and conformance, we have multiple levels of programs that we have to adhere to. So our internal auditing is done once a year. We had 2 minor non-conformances and 4 opportunities for improvement from our internal auditor, the majority of which were clerical in nature, and some minor issues on the website with links not being updated. We had our third-party accredited reaccreditation audit. It was completed in October and November. October was a desktop for all of the documentation, and November was an on-site visit. There were 17 opportunities for improvement and no issues with non-compliance. Once again, the majority of the issues were clerical in nature, and most of which have been completed or will be completed whenever we issue a new operations manual. The system accreditation was maintained. When it comes to the compliance inspection through the ministry, we didn't have an inspection in the 2025. However, we did have it in January 2026. We haven't received the report to date, but there were no issues that came up during the inspection period. And we had no adverse water quality reports during 2025. When we look at the system with the multi-barrier approach to water treatment and distribution, we completed our 36-month risk assessment, which is a tabletop. 36-month risk assessment. So we go through the system with the operational staff once every 3 years, double check all of the risks that we have in our system, make sure everything's up to date, and everything is either has a procedure or some sort of plan associated with it, as long as it's required. We have an annual tabletop review, which was done in March, and I have noted that the timelines are back to more representational than they were before. So that is it for Glen Robertson. So we're going to skip over to Alexandria.
Just a quick question on Glen Robertson. When you checked for during the drought this summer, were the water levels still pretty good?
Part of the issue is that we had historical documentation, but none of it was ever it was never put into an Excel spreadsheet or anything. So it was all paper documents that were lost years ago. So we don't have any kind of baseline for where we were. We started monitoring in September, so it was after the low level was issued. So we did notice it was coming back up, and now we're doing it, I believe, weekly to kind of get that baseline so we know where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions for Glen Robertson before we move on?
Okay.
All right, Alexandria, once again, this is a quick overview map. You'll see Alexandria kind of in the right-hand side and Maxwell up on the on the left-hand side, sorry. So the Alexandria drinking water system is considered a large municipal residential system. It's a Class 3 treatment, Class 2 distribution. We have approximately 1,500 services in Alexandria and roughly 350 to 400 services in Maxwell. It's a surface water treatment, which uses coagulation, flocculation, and sedimentation. We also utilize corrosion control, chlorine disinfection, and chloramination with boosting. We have 2 water storage facilities, one in Alexandria and one in Maxwell, and we do have some minor growth, but a lot of the growth is limited by the wastewater components. Once again, when it comes to the permits and licensing, everything so far is up to date. We're in the renewal process for our municipal drinking water license. It's on the same timelines as Glen Robertson, so it's expected in March 2026. The draft was approved in February, so anytime between now and March, we should see it come through. As part of that renewal process, the Drinking Water Works permit will also be reviewed, and our permit to take water is valid until May 2032. So for our flow summary in Alexandria, it's a little bit different than Glen Robertson. So we have an allowable amount that we're able to take out of the mill pond, and then we have an allowable amount that our process can actually treat. So our raw water intake is 5,616 cubic meters, whereas we can actually treat up to 8,014 cubic meters per day. So we are kind of throttled by that amount that we're allowed to take in. So our maximum flow that we took into the water treatment plant was 3,252 cubic meters, with an average flow of 2,188 cubic meters, which puts us at 39% capacity on the raw water side. When we look at the treated water side, our maximum flow rate was 2,983 cubic meters, with an average rate of 1,983, which puts the system at approximately 24.7% of the rated capacity, which is an increase from 3.4 from the previous year.
Just to interrupt you, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Is that including Maxville?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we take in, it includes everything. Okay.
Yep. Yep, the flows take in both Alexandria and Maxwell. Once again, when it comes to sampling and analysis, it is a busy slide, But for operational monitoring, there was no real big changes that we noted in the raw water, treated water, or in the distribution. We have no concerns with meeting our compliance or any quality degradation. When we had our routine sampling, we did have 2 instances of adverse water samples, which will be discussed later on. But apart from that, all the other tests were well below the compliance limits. There were no adverse samples noted during the quarterlies and the annual sampling requirements because it's large municipal. The organic and inorganics are required once a year. So there was no issues in 2025. The lead program is the same as Glen Robertson. So we will be sampling in 2026. Our monitoring hasn't showed any great fluctuations. Sodium and fluoride, once again, are only due every 5 years. So the next sampling would be 2027. And the only changes to the system to be noted are the new drinking water license and drinking water permit. When it comes to the significant expenses in Glen Robertson, we had one of our variable frequency drives fail. So we had the replacement, which was done. It was ordered and the parts were received in 2025, but it was actually installed in 2026. And we have our SCADA system upgrade, which is the main computer system that runs a lot of the programs and processes within the treatment. We have planned to upgrade it in 2025, and we're still waiting for the deliverables at this point. When it comes to annual programs, we have the spring flushing, which was completed in 6.5 weeks, which is also including all of Alexandria, transmission main, and all of Maxwell. We had some minor issues with maintenance and follow-up. The valve testing was done in 8.5 weeks. Any issues were noted in our electronic tracking system. Our fall flushing was completed in just over a week. We had some major and minor issues that were noted, and all issues were followed up with. Our construction sites, we had 30 sites in 2025. I believe they were either all or the majority were located in Alexandria. So we had 8 water main breaks, 6 service lateral breaks, 6 planned maintenance, and then the rest of that 30 are actually sanitary. Operational issues. So when it came to sedimentation and filtration, there was some dosing issues of our chemical coagulant caused by maintenance. Once it was discovered, we were able to recalibrate and reestablish the operations as normal. We also had some dosing issues in regards to some damaged pump components. Once it was discovered, we were able to make the repair and get everything back to normal. There's some minor communication issues, which we're still trying to determine the exact cause. So that's still ongoing, but it doesn't actually affect the treatment process because we have stop guards in place where we have alarms and shutdowns, so the plant won't run without coagulant. Chlorination issues, we had the technician come in and do some repairs due to a faulty injector, some minor wear and tear issues, and some heating issues that we noted during the late winter, early springtime, which has never been historically an issue before. So we installed some heating lines in order to prevent this from reoccurring. When it came to equipment issues, we had some minor issues with the SCADA panel and some internal cards that were replaced. We had an issue with our low lift pumps not flowing properly or not giving us our desired flow rates. We determined it was caused by a partial blockage in the pipe, which was removed. And we are looking at, I believe, replacement in 2026, if that's still a go. The coagulant tank, we noted that there was some severe sedimentation in the bottom of the tank. Both tanks were cleaned in early 2025, and all the lines were cleaned out to ensure that we weren't having any issues with our coagulant. And as previously mentioned, the VFD drive was replaced. When it comes to compliance, a lot of the internal audit and the external audit will be the exact same as Glen Robertson because we have one operational plan that covers both systems. So we'll skip right to the MECP compliance. So once again, it was done in January. We haven't received the report to date, and I haven't received the draft to date, but there's no major issues that were identified during the inspection. We had an AWQI for turbidity exceedance. And that was in regards to the coagulant issue from before. Once it was discovered, we were able to get everything back into control. And when it came to the multi-barrier approach, we did the 36-month risk assessment, the annual review, and the integration of the QMS into management. Almost done. All right, so when it comes to the QMS, or the quality management system, I've just kind of provided a slide just to give you an update on the major items that we kind of track throughout the year that we do. So each item has a target completion date, an actual completion date, and then any kind of like notes that goes with it. So the first two are the 36-month risk assessment. So Glen Robertson was due in March, and it was completed in March 2025. Alexandria was in September. It was targeted for September, but it was only completed in October 2025. Our annual tabletop was scheduled for February. We were able to complete it in April. The infrastructure maintenance, rehabilitation, and renewal review, targeted for June, completed in June. Provision of the infrastructure was targeted for August, completed in October 2025. The management review is targeted for March. So in 2024, it was completed in March. In 2025, we're targeting March, and we're hoping we're going to get done in March. It depends on staff availability. For internal auditing, it's usually 30 to 60 days prior to the external audit. So last year, it was completed in September 2025, and the external audit, which was a reaccreditation year. So that occurs once every 3 years. So it was completed in October and November of 2025. And that is all for me.
Thank you, Angela. Any questions or comments on, go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Good job. So, I mean, the reports are the reports. They're massive and they're detailed and I'm glad you do it, and I'm sure everybody else is really glad that you do it. I got 3 little spots.
Absolutely.
One in the Glen report, and I'm just gonna go back because I don't think you have them, so I'm just gonna tell you the page in the report, and you can just take a look and see if I'm right or not. So, second paragraph on your page 3 of the report, it says 1 online turbidity analyzer. I don't know if that should be inline.
No, it's online,
It's
because that
online,
means
okay.
that it's monitored continuously.
Okay. And then I think we're going into the Alexandria report. Yeah. So, what do I have here? Nope, lost it. Oh, sorry. Page 4, under the distribution. And it's just an extra word. It says distribution piping within Alexandria. And then on the table, oh, this was a question. So your page 7, for the, what table is this? Summary of additional chemical parameters for sodium. The standard is 20.
Yep.
The result is 12.9, but you have it as an exceedance. So it says yes in the exceedance row.
Yes, that's because the previous
It was
sample was an
previous.
exceedance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I figured that, and that's it. So, good job.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments?
There was a period missing in
I like to make my PowerPoint presentations a bit of like a hide and seek, so if you can find my spelling mistake, because there's always one. Whether it's purpose, I can't confirm.
Thank you, Angela.
Oh, thank you, Angela. Appreciate it. So, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, and we're done for another year. Okay, moving on to PW 2026-05, Maxville Lagoons first quarter update. Councilor Martin.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives report PW 2026-05, Maxwell Lagoons first quarter update for information purposes only.
All right. Welcome, Marco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council administration.
You can build a water system that can turn on. Just go ahead, sorry.
Thank you again for the opportunity to come and present to you an update on the status of the Maxwell Lagoons EA. So we have the project drivers have been identified. So we're slowly reaching the rated capacity at the Maxwell Lagoons. We're also being challenged by new regulations that have come out from the federal government. So together, we've combined those two issues into an opportunity statement for the township to address. And we have it written out. Since the establishment of the supply of municipal drinking water to Maxville, the growth has started to push the Maxwell Lagoons to its rated capacity. The township has initiated the environmental assessment process to identify the preferred solution for increasing the rated capacity at the Maxwell Lagoons. So we'll be taking this opportunity statement to the public for their feedback into the process. So the Environmental Assessment Act here in the province of Ontario requires all municipal water, wastewater, and transit projects of various sizes to go through the environmental assessment process. So this is governed by the Municipal Engineers Association through their documentation. The EA for Maxville is going to be a Schedule C EA, which requires the public consultation at 2 points. So we'll be doing that very soon. It's already been advertised on your Facebook page. And then we'll be doing it again later this year in May. So we'll also be circulating all this information to different review agencies that are either First Nation groups or federal, provincial bodies to give them the opportunity to feed back into the process as well. So the Maxville wastewater collection system is summarized in this figure in front of you. So there are two sewage pumping stations. They're identified as two green blocks. One is at the top of Main Street, and then one is at the west end of the community, which services Maxville Manor. So because we are looking at increasing the rated capacity of the overall system, the pump capacity for the main pumping station, which conveys everything up to the Maxville Lagoons, will also need to be expanded so that we can match the rated capacity of the lagoons. So the lagoons in Maxville were built in the late 1980s. They're a facultative two-cell lagoon system. So they collect all the wastewater all year round, and then every spring it is discharged into the receiving stream, where your operations group monitors the effluent quality to make sure that there's compliance with their environmental compliance approval. So the United Counties of SDNG is working with its member municipalities to prepare a growth management strategy for the area. So it has identified for Maxville an increase in the number of dwellings from 321 dwellings in 2021 to 561 dwellings in 2051, and ultimately 858 dwellings within the urban settlement boundaries of Maxville. So this corresponds to the flow rates presented in the table below. So we have an average daily flow of 412 currently, which is slightly under the 450 cubic meters per day of the design capacity of the facility. And then in 2051, we're predicting to go up to 660 cubes per day, and then ultimately 950 cubes per day.
Excuse me, Marco.
Yep.
If I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
That's only if all of that residential land gets developed?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct, yeah. So that's all the subdivisions within the municipal settlement boundary. So there's the large parcel of land on the north west as well as the southeast.
Yeah. Okay, that would, yeah. That's a lot of land to develop, right? Yeah.
It more than doubles the
Yeah,
population.
right.
Okay. So we did go to the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks to talk about what the potential effluent limits could be if we were to increase the capacity. And the approach we took was, instead of building a lot of infrastructure, what if we were to introduce a fall discharge? A lot of lagoons in Ontario discharge, all the wastewater that's collected over the winter and the spring, and then collect it all over during the summer and discharge that in the fall. So that way we're ultimately doubling the capacity of the lagoons. So we prepared an assimilative capacity study which looks at the ability of the Cummins Drain to accommodate the additional flow in the fall without having any negative impacts on the environment. So through this consultation with the ministry, we have developed these effluent limits, which we believe we can design a facility to treat for. So we have absolutely, we've developed 4 different alternatives for you to consider. And again, I will be taking this to the public for their consultation and input into the process. So the first alternate solution, and this is always an option, is to do nothing. Now, the option of doing nothing means the ability for Maxville to continue to grow will be limited by the treatment capacity at the existing lagoons. We will also continue to have risks of having some ammonia exceedances that are now a requirement to monitor as part of the wastewater system's effluent regulation. So moving forward, we do not recommend this alternate solution because it does not address either one of the driving purposes of undertaking this study. So alternate solution number 2 is to increase the discharge frequency. So although it doesn't necessarily double the capacity, because we do need to account for the accumulation of additional sludge within the volume of the lagoons, this provides an option to increase the capacity beyond the design window of 2051 up to about 800 cubic meters per day. So it does include the servicing of a lot of those lands that we were just previously discussing. This avoids any expansion of the existing berms. So what we would do is the existing lagoons would hold the wastewater, and then we would have a polishing cell afterwards to remove any constituents before it gets discharged into the natural environment. Very similar to what you're doing in Alexandria right now. So the cost of this option is about $11.8 million. And to give you an approximate layout, we would be putting some aeration grids within your lagoon cells. This will provide oxygen to support the healthy bacteria to treat the wastewater. The little green box above the lagoons would be an intermediate pumping station, similar to what we're doing in Alexandria, which would take the effluent from the lagoons, pump it into the 2 gray cells that are located on the north side, where you would further treat your effluent before it gets discharged into the same receiving stream. So the orange building would be a blower building which would support the overall treatment system. So the third alternate solution would be to expand the lagoons so that we can treat the ultimate design capacity of 950 cubic meters per day. This would require an increase in the volume of your lagoon cells by about 33% and would cost approximately $14.7 million. And that would look like this alternate solution. So the 2 blue boxes are the extension of the lagoon cells by about 30%. And then the other facilities that are on this drawing are very similar to what was contained in alternate solution number 2. The fourth solution would be to totally abandon the lagoons and put a mechanical plant in its place. Again, if we were to look at a location, there is the property north of the existing lagoons. It does encroach closer to the residential properties that are on the street. So again, odors and noises could have impact on off-site properties, as well as this option does not utilize any existing infrastructure on that site. So obviously the cost gets driven higher to about $16 million. So the next steps is to take this information to the public on March 3rd. I believe we've got the community hall reserved in Maxville for this event. We'll allow them an opportunity to provide some input into the process, after which we will be looking for a recommendation. And again, dependent on what rated capacity that the township wants to target and what the debt carrying capacity the township will allow, we'll look at alternate 2 or alternate 3, decide which one best fits your needs, and then take that into stage 3 of the EA process, which looks at preferred designs. So we could look at the same system that Alexandria is currently tendering for the polishing of its lagoon effluent. There's also another technology called the Lagoon Guard, which has other advantages, disadvantages. So we'll present to you those 2 alternate solutions so that you can have a full understanding of the technologies that are available to provide you with an ultimate solution. That information would all get summarized into a stage 3 document with updated construction cost estimates, which we would then bring back to council prior to going to the public on May 26th, which is a tentative date. And then once we have confirmed what the preferred solution is, we would document that into an environmental study report, which we would then put on to file for 30 days, after which it's been approved, and the township can then take the preferred alternate solution to design and construction. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. How long is the environmental assessment report good for?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is good for 10 years, unless there is a dramatic change in the environment. If you decide to, design it for 800 cubic meters per day, and then all of a sudden you need to design it for 1,200, then the ministry would see that as a change in the environment and require you to do an addendum. So even after a 10-year period, you can keep the ESR active by issuing an addendum which says we've reconsidered all the environmental issues related to the project, and we reconfirm the preferred solution, and then it's good for another 10 years.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Question? Go ahead, Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Marco, can we go back to your option 2, option 3? I'm just curious, because 2 gets us to the 2051, and option 3 gets us to the eventual goal of everything. So here on your 3, where you've got the 33%, versus on 2, where we've just got the intermediate pump and the polishing. If we did 2, but further up with the option of being able to do the 33% in the future, would that really change our price fundamentally on option 2 right now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely not. That would definitely be a consideration, making sure that there is space for any future expansions.
Good.
Okay. Any further questions, Councilman?
Oh, yeah, no.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Marco, is there a setback to any residential dwelling from the polishing cells?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is typically a 150-meter setback.
That's it? Okay.
That's it. The other impacts, the drain that's running on the east side of the property, there's about a 30-meter setback to it.
So we just issued a permit just on the property north, so I just wanted to make sure that the polishing cells would not.
Yep. Through you again, Mr. Mayor, we have designed wastewater treatment plants in residential communities to mitigate off-site impacts. There are steps you can take to include additional noise attenuation measures, as well as odor control to make sure that you have limited exposure to the adjacent properties.
Okay, Councillor Massey.
Comment, and it's not concerning you, Marco, but we heard about the province in Carney trying to push for lots more housing. Maybe they should start there to work on the capacity, and then like they're pushing the where do work, like even if somebody wanted to build 300 houses in Maxville tomorrow, we couldn't do it. You know, so just a comment. It's just,
Yeah, no, and I agree with that, is the Ford government and the federal government have been pushing for housing, but it's the money's not there for municipalities to go ahead and just do it. So we, great that we got the one for Alexandria, but, are we gonna be on a list, waiting longer? So there's a lot to consider for sure. Go ahead, Councilor Madden, and then I'll go to.
Just curiosity, what's our timing? What time is the public info session on the 3rd? 4 o'clock? Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, well, I think, that's what we're going to be saying to, when we go to our Good Roads delegation, to the Ministry of Infrastructure. It's like, okay, we have got huge development opportunity in North Glengarry, and we're stuck. There's nothing we can do until you guys pony up some money. So, we've got a strong case here. I think also the fact that, the number's lower than I thought it was going to be.
Way higher than I thought
it was. Way higher than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah.
Well, but the good news is that they approved the extra discharge. I thought that hadn't been approved.
But still requires $11 million even for that.
Even for that. Well.
It's all about the pumping stations and.
Did they approve the discharge or just the numbers?
No, through you, they have approved it, so, yeah, we can.
Well, because there was some question as to whether or not they were going to approve that, so that's good news.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was great news.
Yeah, so I think, we should be pleased about that, and, the cost is what the cost is. I just want to say that I am so happy to see this report, and that it's moving forward and fairly quickly by the looks of things. So thank you for that.
Okay, further questions or comments at this time? We're just accepting this for information purposes, so are there any? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Marco, much appreciated, and Tim for your work on this.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Items under the consent agenda, Deputy Mayor?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the items from the consent agenda for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And we have an item under OSIF funding. Michael, I am, that's a
Yeah.
long one.
I might have to take a recess in the middle of it, I'm just saying. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams. Whereas the Township of North Glengarry acknowledges that municipal infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and water and wastewater systems, underpins public safety, economic vitality, and quality of life in Ontario's rural and small urban communities. And whereas the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, OSIF, was created in 2015 to assist small and rural municipalities facing infrastructure deficits that exceed their local revenue capacities. And whereas in 2022, the Government of Ontario committed to increase the annual OSIF envelope from $100 million to $400 million over a 5-year term, with that commitment scheduled to expire at the end of fiscal 2026. And whereas fixed funding levels amid rising labor, materials, and climate resilience costs have eroded the purchasing power of the $400 million envelope, jeopardizing municipalities' ability to deliver and sustain essential services without incurring unsustainable debt. And whereas predictable multi-year funding indexed to real-world cost drivers is critical for municipalities to develop, finance, and execute long-term asset management plans, reduce emergency repairs, and leverage complementary federal and private infrastructure financing. And whereas the Township of North Glengarry requires a steadfast provincial partner to extend and enhance OSIF beyond 2026, ensuring infrastructure resilience, fiscal sustainability, and equitable access for all small and rural municipalities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township of North Glengarry calls upon the Government of Ontario to extend the annual OSIF envelope at not less than $400 million beyond its current 5-year term ending in 2026, with no reductions in subsequent provincial budgets. The province be requested to index the total annual OSIF envelope and each individual municipal allocation to the Ontario Consumer Price Index, CPI, calculated on a calendar year basis and dispersed in the first quarter of each fiscal year. 3, the Ministry of Infrastructure establish a new 5-year OSIF funding framework that guarantees annual envelopes and allocation percentages by municipality, enabling long-term capital planning and stable cash flow management. 4, the province undertake a formal review of the OSIF allocation formula at least once every 4 years, incorporating current municipal asset management data, demographic projections, climate resilience metrics, and rural equity considerations. 5, a dedicated contingency reserve equal to 5% of the annual OSIF envelope be created within the fund to address extraordinary cost escalations, emergency repairs, or project overruns without reallocating core funding. 6, Ministry of Infrastructure publish an annual OSIF performance report, including program disbursements, allocation adjustments, and reserve expenditures in a transparent, publicly accessible online dashboard. Further, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry supports the September 29, 2025 resolution of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, the Ontario 20th, 2025 resolution of the Municipality of South Huron, and the November 19, 2025 resolution of the Township of Puslinch regarding the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, that is OSIF, and further that this supporting resolution and the originating correspondence be circulated to the Premier of Ontario, Leader of the Official Opposition, the Minister of Infrastructure, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, and all Ontario municipalities.
Well done. In the future, Jenna, can you call me before you give that out? Just whoever's not on my good books, I'll give it to them. So,
I can read faster than...
so questions on that? It seems very self-explanatory. It's something that's very needed and something that we're all municipalities are pushing for. Is, oftentimes, that 400,000 that they gave you 5 years ago is not 400,000 anymore, and going to the CPI index, I think, is important. So, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And Councillor Manley. Actually, I'll do notice of motion. Our next regular meeting of council is Monday, March 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Are there any questions for a question period? No? Okay, thank you. And confirmation bylaw. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry adopt bylaw 17, 2026, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, and that bylaw 17, 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 23rd day of February 2026.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Adjournment, Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams. There be no further business to discuss. The meeting will adjourn at 7:40.
All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to staff, members of council, and the public for joining us for this meeting. And we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.